Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the country you are in. I am Julio from Venezuela, content creator and forever Chavista. With multiple social media channels since the 90s, I am a YouTuber, TikToker, Instagrammer, etc. I have musical, gastronomic, film, and political channels. I am the first YouTuber from Venezuela since 2006. When I created my first REO channel about REO Speedwagon on YouTube called Vagan Velaz, I am an editor of music videos and political videos, a community manager, and an independent geopolitical analyst. I am an excellent chess player and basketball player. Additionally, I am a music lover, film buff, and blogger. I am also a poet and composer of original songs. I have my own AI cover band called Vagan Velaz Rock Band. Please follow me. Thank you very much. Julio from Venezuela.
Please welcome REO Speedwagon with these wonderful REO songs for you, my REO friends around the world. Keep in touch with the best and first REO YouTube channels from 2006 by DJ Julio from Venezuela. REO Speedwagon's biggest fan outside of USA. Please follow me on my social networks. Thank you for all your support all these years watching Vagan Velaz, 20 years old on YouTube. And always thinking that remember is to live again. Live every moment and love every day. Peace and love and rock and roll and REO forever. Thank you to all my friends in this wonderful world of music. Keep rocking Julio from Venezuela. Please watch the following REO video.
The piano is my favorite musical instrument. I remember that since I was a child, I used to listen to that wonderful sound that comes from this musical instrument, thanks to the afternoon classical music concert of La Emisora Cultural de Caracas, 97.7 FM. Which is recognized as the first FM station in Venezuela. Founded by Humberto Penaloza, it began its experimental broadcasts in 1975. In another podcast, I'll talk about the station and its importance in broadcasting rock and stereo with Alfredo Escalante and his program Medium, and La Música que sacudió el mundo o the music that shook the world. The former broadcast every day at 3 p.m. on the Caracas Cultural Radio Station. But let's continue talking about classical music and its influence on me because of my love for the piano as my favorite musical instrument. So, it wasn't me who put on that radio show, but my father, Julio Polio, may he rest in peace, who named me after him, because I was the long-awaited son after having 3 consecutive daughters who are obviously older than me. That's why I have the same name as my beloved father, who was a serenader and self-taught musician who even performed live on Venezuelan television back in 1956, when recorded TV show didn't exist. He was able to meet the pioneers of radio broadcasting in person, and Venezuelan television such as William Phelps Tucker and Gustavo Cisneros, since I worked for both of them, and my father sang a wide musical repertoire of more than 500 songs by Venezuelan composers, and even Mexican ones such as Jose Alfredo Jimenez, Agustin Lara, and others. And it was listening to this radio show, El Concierto, every day at 4 afternoon, and also listening to the collection of classical music records that my dad always played in our home, that my great musical taste for the piano was born. It's my all-time favorite musical instrument, and as one thing always leads to another, I truly believe that I am a huge REO fan of the American rock band REO Speedwagon, precisely because it's a band that includes a pianist and keyboardist like Neal Doughty, whom I had the opportunity to see in 5 of the 6 concerts that REO Speedwagon performed in my country, Venezuela, in the 80s and 90s. Neal's also been my Facebook friend since 2009, when I created my Facebook account to find REO friends around the world. And although I only have 130 friends, I think I've gotten to know them, because in friendship, the quality of friends prevails over the number of followers, and that way I can tell them my REO stories about REO Speedwagon. Because as I've mentioned in other videos, my fondness for this legendary band stems precisely from the piano solo in Your Letter, which I heard one sunny day in the eternal Venezuelan spring in 1983. I was listening to Venezuelan radio stations that played rock music, and while changing the dial, I came across this beautiful song, featuring wonderful piano and keyboard sounds. It was none other than the amazing In Your Letter song by REO Speedwagon. But I already made a video about how I discovered the wonderful world of REO Speedwagon music thanks to the song In Your Letter, which you can find on the end screen of this video or by searching In Your Letter on my REO channel. All the videos related to this song will appear, and you can learn more about my REO channel at Vagan Velaz, which has been running since 2006 and will be celebrating its 20th anniversary in 2026. It's the first time I've been uploading REO Speedwagon videos to YouTube. Or you can watch and listen to this REO podcast to learn about my REO history through 5 decades of listening to REO Speedwagon, from the 80s to the present day. This REO podcast today is more about my favorite musical instrument, the piano, and how it led me to discover the wonderful world of classical music in the 70s, as well as various musical genres like rock, salsa, Dominican merengue, Caracas merengue, and others. Genres of universal music, and how when I was just a child and a teenager I learned to love music in general and also to love classical music, and of course to love what I love most in my life after my family, which is the amazing and wonderful music of REO Speedwagon. The piano, a struck string instrument, has a history that combines millennia of evolution of stretched strings with 18th century technical innovation. Its modern origin is attributed to the Italian Bartolomeo Cristofori, who around 1700 created the first mechanism capable of varying the sound intensity according to the force of the touch. However, we also have remote and medieval predecessors. Before the piano, keyboard, and string music went through several fundamental stages. The zither, dating back approximately 3000 BC, is the oldest ancestor, consisting of strings stretched over a wooden box. The monochord, used by Pythagoras, consisted of a single string that was struck or plucked. The psaltery and dulcimer. During the Middle Ages, the psaltery, with plucked strings, and the dulcimer, with strings struck by hammers, laid the foundations for string percussion. The clavichord and harpsichord. These were predominant keyboard instruments until the 18th century. The clavichord allowed for some expression but was very soft, while the harpsichord was powerful but didn't allow for dynamic nuances because it always sounded at the same volume. The invention of the pianoforte by Bartolomeo Cristofori, dissatisfied with the harpsichord's rigidity, led him to develop the gravicembalo, a powerful piano tail instrument. His great breakthrough was a system of hammers that, after striking the string, immediately escaped to allow it to vibrate, enabling the performer to control the volume. The evolution to the modern instrument. Over the centuries, Cristofori's design was radically transformed to withstand greater tension and offer more power. In the 18th century, composers like Mozart and Haydn consolidated the piano as the central instrument of Western music. In the 19th century, crucial innovations were introduced, such as the cast iron frame, cross-strung strings, and Aird's double escapement mechanism, which allowed for the rapid repetition of notes. Currently, acoustic grand and upright pianos coexist with electric and digital pianos that use modern technology to replicate or expand the traditional sound. So, after a brief history of the musical instrument called the piano and its predecessors, let's return to my fondness for this amazing instrument and its use by the greatest and most legendary rock and roll bands of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, such as Chuck Berry and Little Richard, who used this versatile instrument for their rock and roll songs. This genre was born in the mid-1950s within the African-American community of musicians in the United States who played jazz, rhythm, and blues in bars and nightclubs. This music, when fused with other genres, gave rise to the famous rock and roll genre that dominated the music scene in the 50s and 60s. In these very energetic rock and roll songs, the piano found its place to shine and give brilliance and life to this nascent genre of music, which was very popular among the youth of those golden years of rock and roll. Thus, the piano achieved great notoriety and was the quintessential instrument for playing rock and roll and other genres of music. Music like jazz, and so little by little and over the years, the great rock, hard rock, and roll bands included in their lineup someone who was a master of the piano, whom I would like to call the pianist the fifth member of a rock band, going beyond the traditional or classic four-member formation, which includes the singer, bassist, guitarist, and drummer. Often the singer plays piano in four-member bands, but I go further because the piano is my favorite musical instrument, and I would like that fifth member of a rock and roll band to be the pianist, or the piano itself as an extraordinary musical instrument, because it isn't always that way. Let's remember that there are many lead singers like Kevin Cronin of REO Speedwagon who also play the piano, but they are not considered piano virtuosos, as is undoubtedly the piano master Neal Doughty, who is certainly a better pianist and keyboardist than Kevin Cronin, who is an extraordinary frontman, songwriter, and amazing singer with a very beautiful and clear voice rarely heard in rock singers, who usually have a deeper and raspier voice like Bob Dylan and Rod Stewart. And for all these reasons, Neal is a master pianist and keyboardist, recognized by the band's leader, Kevin Cronin. It was precisely for this reason that Kevin didn't play piano on Can't Fight This Feeling himself, but instead sought out Neal Doughty. Together, they created the musical arrangements for this wonderful song, and time proved them right, as it reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Because of the importance of the pianist or piano solos in REO Speedwagon songs, I like to imagine that the fifth member or position in a rock and roll band is precisely for the pianist. Although we know that's not always the case, because Neal Doughty, the main founding member of REO Speedwagon since 1967, when they founded the band at the University of Illinois at Champaign, and he could hardly be called a fifth member of the band. But all of us who are fans of rock bands know that it's the pianist who becomes most famous in a rock band, and who most people turn to. At the concerts of these bands, well, that responsibility automatically falls on the singer or leader of the band, or the guitarist, who is often as famous as the singer for their amazing way of playing electric guitars, which for most rockers is their favorite musical instrument. And although I also really like the guitar solos in the songs because it's the most normal thing in a rock band, I truly appreciate them. Even more so when they are accompanied by a piano solo in the same song, like Live Every Moment, which has amazing piano chords with excellent guitar solos by spectacular Gary Richrath, who is in my opinion the best rock guitarist of all time. So it's the frontmen or lead singers of rock bands who become even more famous than the bands themselves, as is the case with Freddie Mercury, who became a legend himself, surpassing his band Queen. But I, as a big fan of REO Speedwagon, sincerely tell you that I recognize all the work done by all the members of REO Speedwagon who have been part of this wonderful dream that began in 1966 at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, USA. When Neal Doughty and Alan Gratzer met that year, precisely the same year I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, raised in a humble Venezuelan home in a Caracas neighborhood, with a broad knowledge from my parents of Venezuelan traditional music, which is infinite in genres, and the classical music of great composers of piano concertos like Mozart and others. That's why in this video I want to recognize the extraordinary and amazing work that Neal Doughty did as pianist and keyboardist for the band, REO Speedwagon. And I have a very well-trained musical ear since childhood, thanks to my love for good music of all genres, and I have the good judgment to give an opinion on the piano playing of any pianist, and that's why I have always considered Neal a piano master, because his manner and speed in playing this musical instrument is simply astonishing, and we can notice it in countless REO Speedwagon songs that have truly extraordinary and amazing piano solos like Wheels Are Turnin'. It's one of my favorite REO Speedwagon songs just because of the piano solo. And the fact that REO Speedwagon includes the piano in almost all their songs is one of the things I love and am most captivated by about the band, and why I became such a big REO fan of theirs. This is not to diminish the hard work that all the REO guys do with their respective instruments, because it's also well known that besides being a big fan of REO Speedwagon, I'm also a big fan of Kevin Cronin, whom I consider my North American musical idol as a singer and songwriter, and as the great human being he is. I had the immense honor of meeting him personally in 1991 and 1992 when I snuck into REO Speedwagon's dressing room twice in Caracas, Venezuela. That's a story I've already told you in 2 audio videos about the first and second time I snuck into REO Speedwagon's dressing room, and I was able to told Kevin about my feeling about REO Speedwagon. I'm also a big admirer of Gary Richrath, who is the best guitarist I've ever seen during REO's first visit. Speedwagon came to Venezuela during the 1987 Life Tour when they performed for the first time in South America at the Monumental Bullring in Valencia. 2 awesome, wonderful REO shows. I also have audio of those memorable concerts on my REO YouTube channel, recorded by an REO fan. It doesn't really capture how amazing they sounded in Venezuela that time because it was recorded on a home recorder, which didn't accurately record the truly spectacular sound. Even so, I uploaded the audio so you can enjoy the great joy and passion of the Venezuelan people for REO Speedwagon or any international artist who visits us. But in this podcast, which is about my favorite musical instrument, the piano, I wanted to highlight Neal's hard work for 6 decades alongside the wonderful music of REO Speedwagon. I also had the immense honor of meeting and speaking with him personally in the REO Speedwagon dressing room in Caracas, Venezuela, when I snuck in twice in 1991 and 1992. As I already mentioned, you can find the REO podcast of this great REO story of mine on my REO channel at Vaganvalas. I remember telling Neal, in my broken English, "You are fantastic at the piano, and you are a master at the piano. I always loved that REO Speedwagon includes an extraordinary pianist like Neal Doughty, and the fact that many REO Speedwagon songs have impressive piano solos like Lucky for You, Keep on Loving You, and Can't Fight This Feeling, among others, is what led me to investigate this amazing rock band from the 80s and discover their REO's amazing musical catalog of albums from the 70s made me start buying and collecting them all. Listening to all those albums with great songs featuring piano solos is what made me a huge REO fan. I also obviously really like REO Speedwagon because of how amazing Kevin Cronin is as a songwriter and singer, and of course Gary Richrath, who is the best hard rock guitarist. But to be honest, if REO Speedwagon didn't have a pianist in their lineup, I'm not sure if I would be a big REO fan or if I would have ever even known about them. The piano is what initially connected me to REO Speedwagon hard rock and roll band, because it's such a versatile, complete, and melodic instrument that adds so much harmony to all the REO songs where you can hear this magical instrument. I've always liked bands with 5 members, and I assume the 5th member is the pianist because that's the place I want to give that instrument in rock after the singer's voice, which is the first and most wonderful musical instrument in a rock band, and the reason we become fans. The guitarist, who plays amazing electric guitar solos, would be second for me, followed by the drummer, whose great solos make rock songs great. And the 4th member, for me, is the bassist, who keeps the rhythm of the whole song, and that's why their performance is no less important. So, a band that includes a piano or a pianist in its lineup will always be, for me, a better rock and roll band than those that don't, because the piano is a very melodic musical instrument and in many cases is the favorite instrument of singer-songwriters for composing their songs, and if we think about it retrospectively, there must be millions of songs that have been composed sitting at the piano, and its predecessors such as the harpsichord, which show the great importance and musical contribution that this wonderful musical instrument has given to various musical genres such as classical music, romantic ballads in Spanish, power ballads in English, Caribbean salsa, Dominican merengue, Venezuelan merengue, and hundreds more genres of music that use the piano as a primary musical instrument in their songs or in purely instrumental works. I've always liked bands with 5 members, and I assume the 5th member is the pianist because that's the place I want to give that instrument in rock after the singer's voice, which is the first and most wonderful musical instrument in a rock band, and the reason we become fans. The guitarist, who plays amazing electric guitar solos, would be second for me, followed by the drummer, whose great solos make rock songs great. And the 4th member, for me, is the bassist, who keeps the rhythm of the whole song, and that's why their performance is no less important. So, a band that includes a piano or a pianist in its lineup will always be, for me, a better rock and roll band than those that don't, because the piano is a very melodic musical instrument and in many cases is the favorite instrument of singer-songwriters for composing their songs. And if we think about it retrospectively, there must be millions of songs that have been composed sitting at the piano, and its predecessors such as the harpsichord, which show the great importance and musical contribution that this wonderful musical instrument has given to various musical genres such as classical music, romantic ballads in Spanish, power ballads in English, Caribbean salsa, Dominican merengue, Caracas merengue, and hundreds more genres of music that use the piano as a primary musical instrument in their songs or in purely instrumental works. And that's why many of his songs are too stereophonic for my taste, although understand me, I love stereophonic sound when it's used correctly and not excessively. Returning to the topic at hand, the piano as a musical instrument, I remember listening to Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart's piano concertos, and without a doubt, they are the best I have ever heard. In fact, I have attended concerts for piano playing by 2 hands, and it is truly a spectacle to see and hear. I have also been to symphonic music concerts with Maestro Gustavo Dudamel, and our children's, youth, and adult symphony orchestras, which are known worldwide for the great success called El Sistema. This is a unique system of symphony orchestras, the largest in the world, with Guinness World Records and other accolades. It involves the inclusion of people in the world of music from childhood and adolescence, to turn them into professional musicians who have the opportunity to develop within the various symphony orchestras located throughout the country. In these classical music concerts, the piano often plays a very important role, and that is what I wanted to highlight. I also remember that when we were children, my father would give us pianos and keyboards, toys, which undoubtedly also fueled my curiosity and great musical taste for this wonderful instrument called the piano. Recently, I was watching videos on TikTok and I saw a young Asian pianist perform a piano concerto, but it wasn't music by Mozart or Beethoven, but rather the music from the famous video game Super Mario Bros. And the man truly masterfully executed the entire piece on the grand piano because listening to a piano is amazing, but if it's a traditional grand piano, it's the most wonderful thing that can happen in the world of classical and popular music of Super Mario Bros. Piece. He performed. Included all the levels one goes through in this wonderful video game until reaching the end and the mythical game over sound, which all of us who played this game remember with nostalgia, and I was truly amazed by his mastery. I performed this piece in a completely full auditorium that marveled at my masterful piano performance. And because of amazing things like these and everything I've shared in this audio-video podcast, the piano will always be my favorite musical instrument of all time, across all eras and musical genres that can be played on the piano. This is not to diminish the sounds of the drums and electric guitar, which also contribute to making a song a radio hit and now a streaming success. So, for me, there's nothing better than listening to the amazing piano solos of Maestro Neal Doughty in the iconic REO Speedwagon songs, along with all the other musical instruments that blend perfectly to give us excellent musical masterpieces like Keep on Loving You, In Your Letter, Can't Fight This Feeling, Roll with the Changes, among many other beautiful songs by this band. But obviously, I also love all the REO Speedwagon songs that feature a piano solo but didn't reach #1 on the Billboard charts, like Lucky for You, which has one of the best piano solos I've ever heard, and others like Break His Spell, Wheels or Tenant, 157, Riverside Avenue, I'll Follow You, Keep the Fire Burnin', In My Dreams, etc. I'm not going to name them all because you've already heard them many times, and you know exactly what I mean. I truly love all REO Speedwagon songs that include a piano solo or piano intro. I think that if this wonderful musical instrument hadn't existed in this marvelous and amazing North American rock band, I don't know if I would have been the biggest REO Speedwagon fan outside the United States. From Venezuela, thank you so much for watching this entire video about my REO stories on this podcast from Veganvlas, the REO YouTube channel, which is the band's oldest channel on YouTube and which I'm celebrating its 20th anniversary of creating. New content to upload to this REO channel, based on videos that already exist in the vast music library that is YouTube, with videos uploaded by REO fans in the United States who have had the opportunity to see them on tour every year in their country from 1967 to the present day. So, REO fans, if you see your video here, please don't file a copyright claim that could result in a strike and the closure of this REO channel, which has been running for 20 years. Remember that I am an old-school YouTuber, and our goal is to safeguard REO videos on as many REO channels as possible to prevent the loss of content known as lost media. Please ask me to remove your videos from this REO channel, and I will gladly do so. Thank you very much for allowing me all these years to edit your videos to improve the sound and make them sound better and louder. Also, many times, for technical reasons, it takes me a long time to edit these videos because I have always used cheap computers since nobody donates a single dollar to me, and that's why, in 2025, I decided to monetize this REO channel so that with the money I earn, I can buy equipment to bring you better quality content, which I always make with a lot of love because I love editing REO Speedwagon videos. I've been doing this for the last 20 years completely free of charge because it's a hobby for me, and I love doing it. The videos I edit are dedicated especially to true REO fans of the band and to my REO friends on Facebook and YouTube who might take the time to listen to these humble words that come from the bottom of my sincere rocker heart, a lover of REO Speedwagon. So, if you support me by listening to the entire audio podcast and subscribing to my REI channel for more REO videos and podcasts, that's enough for me because you'd be contributing to the organic growth of this channel at Veganvlas, which I created in 2006 from Venezuela to share the wonderful music of REO Speedwagon with the rest of the world. That's why I wanted to offer you this new content on my REO channel in a more personal podcast style about my REO stories to share with you and your friends. If you've made it this far, you're truly a real REO fan and friend. So, if you're one of the more than 5,000 subscribers who regularly visit my REO channel every month to see my content, thank you so much for all your support over all these years. And there are also more than 5,000 new YouTube users who are watching my REO videos for the first time but haven't subscribed to the REO channel yet. What are you waiting for? Please subscribe. It's totally free. So, Thank you all so much for your support by watching my REO channel over the last 20 years, because I'm very happy about it. 20th anniversary of At Vagonvalas on the REO YouTube channel, making us the oldest REO Speedwagon channel on YouTube, and all of this is thanks to you, my REO fans and REO friends, who continue to support this humble channel of REO Speedwagon rock music. I've edited over 500 REO videos for the last 20 years completely free of charge, solely out of my love for this band and with much affection from a Venezuelan who fell in love with their wonderful music back in 1983 when I bought my first REO Speedwagon album, High Infidelity, which is the best REO album of all time because of what it means to me and what it meant to REO Speedwagon. But that's part of another REO story that I already told you in the first edition of this podcast. So subscribe, like, comment, and share, and I'll see you in the next REO video. Thank you very much. Julio from Venezuela, REO Speedwagon biggest REO fan outside of the United States. With the oldest REO YouTube channel since 2006 that we are in the 20th anniversary of my REO channel is in this year of 2026. Peace and love and rock and roll and REO forever.